Hello, now you can hear me. Hello? Okay, you can hear me. All right, well, I guess I'm officially starting. Let's go. So, yesterday, it's weird that I can't hear myself. Hello? Oh, that's better. Yesterday, we ran into a bug where hitting the context-aware data source resource directly was giving us a 404. And this was totally opposite from doing it on Dexter Author, where if you hit HTML, you get a 500 because it doesn't have the proper request parameter. So, of course, it just fails. So, interestingly enough, this is actually a change between AEM as Cloud Service and 6.4 SPE8, which is what what we're porting from. So I don't know if this is a change in Sling or what, but this was sort of expected because it was calling that, and then this was not. So it just because it 404 didn't mean it wasn't there and couldn't figure it out. It was just a totally different kind of error. The other thing was that I was doing the right stuff, but in the wrong order. So we were doing Sling config ref in CRX, and then we would deploy and wipe that out, and then it wouldn't work. So if we look now, we can see, we'll go to DX documentation, and it logged me out, of course, because I haven't been in here. So this is just our small update from yesterday. If we pull this up, we can now see that item justification, stretch, start, center, end, space between. And if we go here, and we go to conf and DX docs, which I think we're going to have to change where this is, but that's a whole different conversation. If we go to flex container, and we go to justification, you can see stretch, start, center, end, space between. So if we said we wanted to do space around, we could actually just copy that and paste, and we can just say space around, and then we could just say, again, we're just proving the point here, space around, and justify space around. Now, the reason why we have this complexity, there's a couple reasons for that. We could have put those values directly in the dialog, of course. But when you're talking about, let's just go editor, and we'll just go to US. When you're thinking in terms of, writing that out over and over again, because you need it for mobile, you need those same values for tablet, so we can see those here. So you want those values, but you don't want to have to write that same code over and over again. So we leveraged the context-aware data source, which means that if somebody else wanted to support something new, they totally can. So in this particular case, we added space around. I think we'll just save all, and then if we reopen this, we don't have to refresh because it's server side, of course. We should have, boom, space around right there. So that just shows that that's working and we got that resolved, so that's good. So that's a small update on this. Now to the bigger problem. So what we're going to do, if we go and let's go to, we're going to work on some internal adobe.com stuff. So let's go to CD, sites. Actually, we need to shut all this down. So we're going to shut this down. We're going to say, boom, CRX, quick start bin, stop, because we're not going to run cloud service anymore. DX we can shut down, DX we can shut down, that AEM sync on DX we can shut down. And so let's do a Java-version. Let's find out. Okay, we're on 1.8, which is 6.4, and that's kind of what. So interestingly, our internal project that powers all of our sites, we run it on 6.4, we run it on 6.5, and we run it on AEM as cloud service. So we actually support 3 different versions of AEM right now. The majority of our site is on 6.4 SP8, which is the latest service pack. So we're just going to go up to Dexter and just get a status on this. Okay, so we can just say, okay, and then we'll just do a build all. And that will deploy. And so we can shut this down, shut this down, shut this down. This is the only one we need. So, all right. So let's go to our sites. Actually, what I want to show you is this bug. Assuming that it has, so we'll go to Dexter. Let's see what my phone's saying. Okay. So we will just go to this full width page. So we have no hard-coded templates on adobe.com. Let's go ahead and lock this. And, oh crap. So we can unlock, and let's go to the policy. And this should break on us. So if we try and save this, we should get an error. Oh, we don't. Okay, so that is because I fixed the bug in a previous. Come on. Let's try and do this. Let's go add a new component, flex, of course. Boom, pull that open. And we will click this, and we'll just say blah, and, that's funny. I wonder if they fixed that bug. I don't think so. We'll let this build, and then we'll see. But I do not think that that's the case. That is wild. Well, if the bug is fixed, then we'll just move on to typography. Speaking of which, while we are waiting for that to build, let's talk about typography. So the way we built adobe.com, at least the platform, is... My wife's texting me. So the way we built adobe.com. So let's close this. Let's go. Yes, save. And we don't need this anymore. We don't need this anymore. We don't need this anymore. But we do need Dexter. So we'll go to Dexter. So we separated it out. Our client lib stack, we separated it out into areas of concern. Basically, the idea is that you shouldn't be loading CSS for something that you don't need. So don't write author CSS. You know, if you need to tweak the authoring environment, don't write author CSS or JS that's going to wind up in publish. So we sort of separated it out. So we have this analytics layer, we have author, editor. Editor is really for like hacking dialogues and like improving the basic editor functions. Head is for anything that needs to load super fast. So we have this thing called georouting, which like figures out where visitors are trying to go. And then we have for IE, we do specific polyfills, so we don't have to polyfill for the rest of the site or for the rest of the browsers. We have jQuery when we absolutely need it. So if there's third-party scripts that we integrate, we have something called Forms as a Service. It's a lot like Marketo. It requires jQuery to run, so we have that for when we absolutely need it. Publish is the majority of our stuff. Any React-based components we put in our React client lib. React UMD, so we build on our platform, we supply all these different sites. In fact, I could probably illustrate this a little bit. And this will actually be good to, I did a summit presentation on this, but not now. But basically, we have, let's go look for it. Okay. So we have Dexter, which is this common set of components and services. So, one sitemap, one text component, which comes from core components, of course, one Flex container. And then we have our UI, which is Spectrum. That's the Adobe brand. And then each site can implement their own stuff. And so what we found is when we implemented React, every site was loading React as well because the way we were building through Webpack and everything. So a brilliant engineer named Jaber implemented React UMD, which is basically a publicly accessible library. So everybody just points to that, and we can make the assumption that React is going to be on the page and we can use it. Then we get into the more interesting parts. So we always knew that our brand will continually evolve, and our opinions of what things should look like will continue to evolve. Okay, this button is going to be blue today. It's going to be a different shade of blue tomorrow. We want text to be a certain size today. Okay, tomorrow we're going to want a different size. And we also knew that every brand, so Doc Cloud, Experience Cloud, Photoshop, Creative Cloud, all these brands would want their own sort of spin on what those opinions should be. So at the platform level, so to keep in mind, we have a bunch of AEM servers and all these different projects. So if we go back over, so Adobe.com, Inside, Partners, HelpX, Acrobat, Adobe I/O, all of these pull in Dexter as a dependency, very similar to how you would pull in core components. And so they can implement their own theme, and they can implement their own opinions. So what we implemented, and the way you can do that, what's great is like, we might have somebody that doesn't want to use any Spectrum. We might have, let's say another, like an external customer, especially in this open sourcing effort, if more people start to use Dexter technologies, they're obviously not going to want to use Spectrum. They're going to want to use something else. And you could go to Style Guide IO, I think. And you can kind of see companies of our size. Oh, nope. Let's go find it. Style Guide. There should be a... Man, there was a really good one. Salesforce. Let's look at the IBM Style Guide. Yes. Or let's go to the design language. This might be good. So yeah, like they have their own typography stack. So IBM, obviously very famous. So you can see like all their different, so they're obviously not going to want to implement Spectrum. So we even have that within our own brands where they have opinions. So you can actually, the client-side library that we pull in via the template or via the page policy is the opinions. And so we ship, Dexter ships by default theme, but we're continuing to iterate. So we're actually on theme 3, and that's what we're going to be working on. Because we started off where our first customer of Dexter internally was in January of 2018. And that was something called North Star. Now, Northstar was very editorial based. So if we go to adobe.com and DE and go to Insights, very, very, very editorial based. So you can see like we have these cards, and you click into one of these cards, and you can see, we're looking at a serif typeface with sans serif. So we're looking at Adobe Clean and Adobe Clean Serif. So again, this was very, very opinionated in its typography stack. So we shipped that because we had nothing else at the time. We had all this legacy stuff that we weren't huge fans of, and so it was like, okay, well, this is our first customer, so let's just ship this. So that's what we shipped, actually. And then our partners with Spectrum, they started to open source. Let's just look for Spectrum CSS. Our partners on Spectrum, our design language, our internal design language, they finally started shipping CSS around that same time or shortly after. I think it became really viable. And so we were asked, hey, of course we would want to get on brand. And so they had this typography stack. And so we implemented it. And if you look, over time we sort of realized, it was like 6 months or so, nobody was happy with it because it was very app-centric and not so web-centric. And the Spectrum team would be the first to say that because apps are their primary customer at the time. So then they implemented sort of another typography standard. So I would say in November, or probably more like March, June-ish, we implemented Spectrum OG typography. And like I said, a lot of people were just not terribly happy with that. So if you go and you look at like Experience Cloud, and we were to look at the source code, and if we go and we look, let's see where the JavaScript or the CSS is. So we have publish CSS, and then you can see here you have the Dexter-based theme. But that team was not particularly happy with that typography stack, so they implemented their own opinions on top. So they kind of said, well, we're really happy with your buttons, but we're not super happy with your text. And then they also had another theme called Product for product pages. So we implemented that, and then it became really clear that the Spectrum typography was not super friendly for the web. So in November of 2018, I believe, we implemented Spectrum Typography V2, we'll just call it. And if you look here, we have this typography deprecated, and you can see, this is sort of the standard. And again, it looks a lot more web-friendly, web-centric. You've got H1 through H6 support, and things don't get super, super tiny because the information density for an app is very different than the information density you want for the web. So we did that, and we rolled it out as what we called Theme 2. And the idea was that you could just swap this out. You could basically just say, let's go look for our full width template. You could just basically say, okay, instead of theme, I want Theme 2. And it would just work. Your H1s would start looking like the new H1s. And you could actually see that on, let's say, the products Photoshop. All the way down there. Come on, Chrome. So they might have combined this, but let's look. Yeah, they've combined it. The unfortunate thing was that I wonder if we could actually inspect this. We might even be able to find it. So here you can see we have Spectrum Display Strong. And so what's interesting is that it got re-implemented. You can see publish CSS. And so you see all this redundancy. So originally it was supposed to be a spectrum heading 1 or an H1, which was supposed to be 36. And we said, oh, well, we're actually going to do display strong. So now it's going to be 45 pixels, but then there's like some duplication of efforts. So that's obviously bad because now, sure, we've implemented that stack, but again, more problems. So what we decided was that we would come up with basically, here we are, what is it, April? Sometime in 2020, this crazy world we're living in. We have this effort to sort of make it even more web-centric, eliminate all these, random overrides that people are doing across the entire stack. And if you were to go look at an H1, so this is a great example. You go look at an H1 here versus, Experience Cloud. You can see that these don't look anything like each other. So this is an H1 and this is an H1, but they're totally different. So we have this desire to standardize on everything. So what we're getting out of this is we're getting consistency. So a Photoshop page and an Experience Cloud page, they're going to have the same typography stack. So it kind of keeps our brand more in line. And then on top of that, like all this extra code, like that needs to go away like right now. The other thing is that you'll notice we have this text spectrum display strong. Well, we're using the style system. We're using the AEM style system for this. And because of that, and you can see we're using a core component, and so that's extra work on the authors, which is obviously bad. So if I have to, in order to get, if we go here, if I have to do this, and it's funny because this is going to show a bunch of stuff. If I have to use the little paintbrush to add, my stuff, then that's kind of bad. So we want to have really good defaults, so the authors can be super productive. But if they want to opt out, so we have this other problem. So that's great. We want H1 through H6, and you just put it on the page, and it looks the same everywhere, and you don't have to do anything. Great. But there are times we have found, so I'll give you an example. So you might want, so for SEO purposes, you might want an H1. But you might want the visual representation to look more subdued. Maybe your image needs to take more prominence. So we also need the ability to decouple sizes from the actual H1s. So you have this H1 through H6, but you might say, okay, I want an H1 for SEO, but I think an H1 size is a little too big here. So we also need to support that, like decoupling these two things. So here we are. We are on, we actually went through an exercise in like late 2019 of a small rebrand, but I won't go into that because that's a whole different ball of wax. So let's see, what do we have? So where we're at now, we can just shut this down, is we have this new thing that we're calling consonant, which is sort of like, it's a layer that sits on top of Spectrum. And what this does is this is sort of that realization of like everybody gets the same typography stack. We have brand alignment. And let's see if we can. Nope. Okay. So we'll go look at this. Why did that not? Weird. This should probably be unlocked. I hope I didn't just screw that up, but I probably did. Layout container, unlock that. Okay. So let's go look at initial content. Okay, cool. So we have sort of these, if we go look, let's go check that out first. Okay, so that built successfully. Let's go see if that body is still there. We might have to We might bounce around a little bit, so my apologies. Oh, that's interesting. Somebody must have fixed it. Wild. Okay, so we'll go back to initial content. So, if we look, we have, ooh, this does not look like theme. Oh, it is theme 3. Okay. There's something funk town going on with this. So let's go fix it. Oh, I know why. Let's do CD Dexter UI. And let's go, or actually, we need to go back. Oh no, that's fine. Let's see here. npm run. Gosh, it's been a while. am libs. So npm run am libs. It'll build our entire client lib stack for us. And then say history grep am sync. Because I use a VM, the URL for am sync is a little bit different. So we have a little shim in our package JSON that runs am sync, so you don't have to install am sync globally. But I then had to override and set the proper URL. So that's building. And what we are going to do, eventually it'll get done. All right, so you can see our entire client lib stack is built, and it's just watching for changes. So the changes will be a lot faster than that. So let's just look at our branches. And we should have get checkout. Excuse me, jeez. So that will actually detect those changes, and it will rebuild. So we can see where we're at. And then am sync will push that up. So you can see all the changes that were made. So it just pushed all those up. And with any luck, if we refresh this page, it should look a little bit better. Or a little more correct. But we can validate that. Whoa! That's right. I remember this now. We did something crazy. So let's go back, and we're going to go to app.less, and we're going to theme 3. So you can see we're pulling in all this basic Spectrum stuff. The idea is that we shouldn't have to rewrite the code that has the Spectrum team has already written. So we have these different themes. We have their typography stack. Bar loader, button, circle loader, drop down. We have all these different things. Popover, link. So we get to reuse a lot of their code, which is kind of amazing. But we have to work on, and let's see where my last changes were, because I did something really bad to prove a point. Oh, lovely. So let's go find out what this was supposed to be, and we can go look. So we have a couple of things as our guides. So if we look, this is supposed to be 60. So triple XL is supposed to be 60. Okay, so we'll just do that. So we'll just say this is supposed to be 60. Oh, that's quadruple XL. Okay, so that's why. So let's change. I figured out what the problem is. Let's go to here, and we actually just want to pull that off. And so this one is supposed to be, these are all default headings. So let's make sure that we don't have anything selected. Cool. Let's go. Oh, we don't have view as published here. Let's just fake it. Okay, so let's go inspect this. Okay, so in H1, we have as of 44 picks, and that is, so if we compare, so that starts at 44, but we had an update where we decided, so we have this problem where it's really kind of interesting. So, and this is actually kind of a funny. So we found that on Creative Cloud, their title copy was a lot shorter than Experience Cloud, because like, you know, you might say, like, if you're thinking of like in terms of, let's see, XD might be a good example, although the XD page is a little different. So let's XD together. Very short copy, of course. So it can be big, but if you're comparing it to something like Make Experience Your Business, that the copy on Experience Cloud has a tendency to be a little bit longer, and then on Document Cloud it has a tendency to be even longer than the two of those. So we decided to say the default heading 1 is XL for desktop. So if we look here, we can see, so basically what I have here is we have all of our heading elements, we have all of our body elements, and then we combine those into text elements, and then we have our bold elements. Sometimes AEM does B instead of strong. I don't know. So we have all of these, and then we basically just say, you know, mix in the default heading. And then if you want to bust out to t-shirt sizes, we have like a margin multiplier, which is a really clever little mix and sizing thing here. So you basically take the font size, the line height. Line height, you know, in CSS, it's, you know, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, which is a multiplier. And, you know, if we're conveying, but line height for like things like XD and InDesign and Illustrator, those things are displayed in pixels. So I created this little multiplier. So we have our heading defaults. So you can see heading 1, we're mixing in XXL, which I found out is incorrect. We want to do XL. So we save it, and you'll see that typography less obviously gets synced up, but we build everything so we don't use the less compiler that comes with AEM, because the less compiler with AEM doesn't provide any linting support. So if you're working in large teams, trying to get everybody to write code very similarly can be a challenge if you're not using linting. Uh-oh, it didn't like this. Oh, it doesn't like we're going to have to do, I know what we're going to have to do. We have to npm install, because we switched branches and they're pretty different. We have to, so it's not finding like all these random node modules. So let's npm run amlibs, and that should clear us up, hopefully. If not, we will have to debug it. So we have XL, L, M, S, XS, XS. So once you get into H5s and H6s, and to be totally honest, we don't really use H5s and H6s very much on Adobe.com. So we have that blue. We obviously don't want that. That was just me proving a point with somebody. So what we wanted, this goes back to that whole decoupling. Okay, cool. It built it. So let's refresh this. This should shrink down. Ooh, why did that not shrink down? We have 44. That's interesting. Let's find out. Have yourself a merry little. For tablet portrait up. Got it. So we can do that. And wait for it. So I always, we're not syncing. That's another problem. So let's just save again to trigger that. So I like to keep this off to the side so I can see what's getting pushed up to my AEM stack. So pushed it up, refresh, and there it is. Okay, so we have XL, and we can validate that. That's supposed to be 36 picks. Let's go validate on here. We have 36. And then what's cool is that you can kick out to the larger sizes if needed. So like, let's say we're doing something for like Max or Summit, and we're like, we really want to catch this copy needs to stand out more than our other copy. Well, you can still do that. So if you scroll down here, you have, again, me proving a point. You can kick out to those larger sizes if you need to using the style system. So that's super, super handy. And it's up to the template authors to decide whether or not a page author has that available to them. So we can trash this actually because we have a copy of it. So you can see where we're going to triple XL, double XL, XL, and then, so again, here you see this like sort of decoupling. So you can have an H1 that looks really tiny. We have these things called eyebrows. I think they're called eyebrows. I could be wrong. There's probably somebody at our design team that's like yelling at me right now. Let's just go look at the AEM page. What is Experience Cloud? I have no idea. Kidding. Ah, yes. So this is a great example. So see how this says P? No, I don't want to talk to an expert. So see how this is a P? Well, Adobe Experience Manager, for the Adobe Experience Manager overview page, should probably be an H1. But because that typography is not decoupled like that, they don't have a choice. It has to look like this. I mean, sure, they could kick out to engineering and go through all these changes and fixes and everything, but ideally, I would think that we would want Experience Manager to be the H1 so it shows up in a Google search. So what happens? Adobe Experience Manager. Let's see what happens. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder why that's like that. That's surprising. Oh, because the page title. Duh, dummy. And then you have get personalized content led. So where does that come from? Let's go look. Where did that page go? Oh, well, doesn't matter. Okay, so we're sort of level set, I think, and now we can make these changes. And so I was curious if this... So we have these little mix-ins for tablet portrait up. So it sort of shorthands our media query stack, which a colleague of mine named Chad Auger, he really championed this, and I think it's an incredible article. If we go to variables, oh yeah, so there's this incredible article, and Chad was the one who found this, and it's sort of this amazing article on how to do breakpoints the right way. It's really, really, really good. And our data from Adobe Analytics actually supported everything that was being called out here. Because a lot of times, especially in like older Bootstrap days, you'd think in terms of like, well, an iPhone is 320 and an iPad is 1024, or 768. But the reality is, like, you have to think in terms of like Android phones and Android tablets and all these different. So you can't think of, So basically, our phone stops at $599, and then for tablet portrait up, if we want to get to that granularity, it goes from $600 to roughly $1199, and then we have desktop up is $1,200, so that's going to cover like 13-inch MacBook Pros. The majority of desktop resolutions is like 1368, I think. Most common desktop resolution. 1366. I was off by 2. So that covers all those things. And then if you really want to get crazy, if you want to do something like do not do this beyond that or whatever we have in 1440. So like for this desktop that I'm in now. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're just really validating that the changes that were made to this work and that mobile also works. So these should all shrink, but I dropped off. So if we look at this, that's 36. So I don't think that's implemented correctly. And if we do turn that off, what is it? 36. So that's not good. So we got to find out why that's broken. So we have because we don't have sizes. That's right. We have the heading defaults, the margin multiplier. So we probably need to do a size variable for the t-shirt mix-ins. So we'll just say at size, comma. So instead of these hard-coded values, gotta get rid of this shit. So we need an at size, comma. And let's just do this. Let's copy this. Let's copy this. And oh man, that sucks. How can we do this? Oh, I got an idea. Okay. So we'll just select this. Boom, boom, boom. And boom. Okay. So we're passing in size. So right now that's all hard coded. So we're just going to pull out 60. And those are heading defaults. So we will have to do a whole different thing for that. So we started with XL. So we're basically saying, hey, you are going to be that, and we're going to replace that with at size. This is like some of the most complex lists, and it's going to need a lot of documentation to explain because trying to have clean, I'm a big fan of not adding complexity for the sake of terseness. But this was one of those cases where the code was just like insanely long and there was just so much redundancy. So we'll just say at size, and then this is going to be 24. So this is 24, and then this is 20, 20, and 16 on both. Boom, boom, boom. So we have those, and we should probably put that. Oh, those are the defaults. So actually, these all need to be right here. Boom, and throw these over. So you can see this is kind of what I was talking about. If we were going to use the out of the box AEM less compiler, which is extremely convenient, you wouldn't get style inting. So this is saying, hey, we expect an indentation of 8 spaces. So we'll just throw that over. And then let's go drop in size everywhere. Boop, bloop, bloop, and bloop. Okay. So now we pass those in as parameters. And so what we can do is we can go back to our file and we can see that mobile, so mobile needs to be 36. Oh no, that's for that one. So mobile is, what? So that should, that's XL. So that should be 36 and 28. So we need to change this to 28. I think these all just actually bump down. So this is like 24. This is 20. We're going to make that assumption, but we'll see if that's right. 16. So let's go see. That is not terribly helpful. this is supposed to be. This is H5, H6. Oh, okay. So yeah, 16 and 16. That drops down. So basically, 4 through 6 on mobile are all the same. Interesting. Okay. So 16. So 28, 24. So then we have another problem where we need, I think we're going to stop supporting triple XL, I think was the case. So that would be 44 and 36. So let's go find where those overrides are. We need to trash the quadruple XL. And this would be, so under these conditions, we would say that this would be 44. Oh, and we need, that's the margin multiplier. How do we want to do this? So this would be 60, or no, actually this is 44 picks because it bumps down. And then, right, so let's go look. So that's 60, 44. So we'll just do desktop first because that's what I know better. 44 picks. XL is 36 picks. 36 picks. This has got to be really riveting. I hope nobody's watching this. 28. 28 picks. 24. Heading small is 20. 20 picks. And heading XS. 16 picks. Okay, so that's all desktop. So the question we have is, this would be for portrait up. So let's see, heading styles. Okay, so we run heading styles down here. Run heading t-shirt styles, margin 1. So then what we would do, I wonder if we, you know what, I think we're going to do this a little bit differently. I'm not a huge fan of this. So you can see how we have this all-encompassing, for portrait up, and we have heading defaults, and so we run that wherever that is. We run it here. So I guess that kind of makes sense where we have, we'll just do this. That's fine. It'll look a little Funktown, but that's okay. So these will all go in here. I don't like when code is not similar, but that's okay. It is what it is. Just trying to make it, because it's like, do you want to repeat this or do you repeat the other one? And it's like, do you group them? Again, our linter is yelling at us, so we're going to fix that. Stop yelling at us. Drop all these. Riveting stuff. Chris removing white spaces. So we have that. And then we basically take this exact same thing. So that's all of our. So basically when we run heading styles with the margin multiplier, which almost seems kind of redundant. Why do we need that? Just because we don't want to do margin 1? That's kind of annoying, isn't it? And we probably don't even need these different mix-ins anymore. Mix-in heading S. It would all be the same because it's the only thing that's changed. So let's go look. Oh. Yeah. We don't even need that anymore because we're supplying the size. So there's a whole bunch of code saved. So we can just run mix-in sizing. You don't even need those separate ones. Because we already have all of these. We already have this. So it's really just mixing in the sizing. Font size, line height, and multiplier. And that's line height heading. Gosh, we could even just supply that. So why don't we just do that? I'm probably making a huge mess here. We'll find out. Boom. And that's the margin multiplier. So 60, line height heading. Oh, I think that's totally going to work. That is cool. So we can just take this and replace. There we go. Look at this. I'm totally going to, I hope I don't mess this up. And we will take this. I wonder if we can get away with, so let's do this. Copy. Boom, 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 boom. That's cool. And so you would do this for mobile. So mix and sizing. Boom. This has got to be so mind-numbingly boring to watch. Because it's mind-numbingly boring to make. So I thought this would be interesting, but maybe the first part was interesting. This is terrible. This is really, really bad. Bloop, 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 bloop. Okay. And so what we can do is we can just get rid of this. So that should run. Let's go see. So one thing I like to do when I'm working on typography is I do sort of I'll load it in a new tab. Oh, so, okay, so there's something wrong. Oh, it's no longer defined, so let's put those back for the crap we haven't fixed yet. I should fix that. Let's just fix it now. These are the t-shirt sizes, so let's just pause on this actually. Boom. And we can get rid of these. I was like, there's no way that just worked. We have. Okay. Okay, so we knew that was going to be jacked. Why did that fail again? We're still trying to do heading styles as undefined. Oh, of course. Now we're trying to run something that doesn't exist. Where else are you running heading styles? Body XL, heading styles, down here. Services. Okay. All right, let's refresh and see where we're at. Okay, so this is super broke. So let's go dig into why. So inspect. So this somehow turned into 60. So let's go find out why. Oh, those are the defaults. So we must not be getting the for portrait up. And this is actually not supposed to be that. It's supposed to all bump down. So this is actually supposed to be 36. But still, that's messed up. Let's go see. So let's see. Now I'm confusing myself. Oh, yeah, because we said this would actually be 44. Because what's the H1? We can go look at our H1 is supposed to be XL, and so mobile is supposed to be 28. So this is supposed to be 28, and then that's supposed to be 36. Okay, cool. But these are not kicking in for some reason, so we need to find out why. Need to find the media query. Let's go find. That should at least shrink down. That's better. So that's 28, but these are all the mobile sizes. So what the F? Let's go open at media. There's probably way too many of those. Let's start from the bottom. It's not even in there. Oh, I think I know why. Because it doesn't know that. I don't think it knows to pull in this variable. I wonder how that is set up. So we have to, I think we have to pull that in. I wonder if I can go to this. Nope. So that's in publish media queries. Ah, okay, that's in there. So do we have to pull that in? I thought we could just, let's see. Do it in our typography stack. See if that helps us. You would think it would say not defined if it wasn't defined. So there's got to be something funky, but it's definitely not outputting. Oh. Up one more. Okay, so we have 9. Shit. So let's find out where. Oh. I think I know why. Because we don't even need. Oh, shit. That's why. I think we're going to do something different. This is the mobile. Let's see if that. Oh, email. So, how do we want to do this? First of all, we got to get rid of this because we don't need it. And second of all, we need to decide how we're going to do this. I think we're just going to do this. And then this is all going to be... this is much better. This is much less gnarly. It's way more simplified. No, getting rid of those abstractions makes me super happy. Because that was like one rabbit hole too many. And we don't need to call it anymore, so that's cool. Oh, that's so much better. Ah, look at that. So much cleaner. So we don't have that sort of like weird. Don't have to call it anymore because it's just going to exist. So that's cool. Since we're basically defining all that crap anyways. There is no reason for that abstraction. Okay, so now, what? Who's trying to run heading defaults? Blup. Blup. We will have to figure out that because the reason we did that was so we could call the margin multiplier too. Maybe I do want to have that abstraction there then. Shit. Damn. Because otherwise we're going to repeat all of this again, like these two blocks. So that was simplified, great, but we actually need it. Damn, that sucks. So there was a method to my madness. But running heading defaults, we basically will have to do this. We're going to do... I see how we're going to do it. Blup, blup. So... because they both can't be called heading defaults. That's super annoying. I don't like this at all. Default. Mobile. And... oh, that sucks. Tablet. Up. That's really, really annoying because they have different sizes. But they're both functions that we call. That is super annoying. Heading defaults for mobile, so we'll just say we don't need to explicitly because that's we're mobile first. Somebody's going to get confused if I don't do that. So this changes to this. And this changes to this. Heading defaults. Tablet up. That's super annoy balls. And then we can have this back. Survey says, does it build? Ooh, 79. 79. What? Why is that? What are you bitching about? Why? 79. Dude. There must be a weird... what did I do? That's all fine. I feel like it would be yelling at me. Why does not make sense? Yeah. Super weird. Hey. All right, so we are at 36. We have our nice rem. So we got 36. Let's just double check. Yay, 36, and should go down to 28. Cool. That like seriously melted my brain. So that's kind of clever. That's okay. So we have mixing headings, blah, 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 blah. Now we've got to fix the t-shirt styles. So I think we can do the same thing. Oh. So we need to have the two, but we don't have to have the mix in heading XL all that crap. We can just say mix in sizing. So that's a little bit better. Was not a fan of. Okay. Boom. Boom. And boom. But then we need to say what line height we want. So, boom. Oh, wait. We want that. Okay. So we can make this a little bit more similar to what we had above. So we basically have heading styles with the margin multiplier. So we need to have heading styles mobile. So then we can get rid of this. Kind of annoying. Yeah, I know you're yelling at me. Let's. What? All right. So that's mobile. Triple XL is not supposed to be 60. What is it supposed to be? That's desktop. I wonder if we can tighten this up. That's probably going to make it seriously unreadable. That's kind of unfortunate. Because the problem is that you set the heading in the style system, but then you have to have the text elements inside it because the text elements are children of that. So you have CMP text, but the style system would be set here. So you always have to target the classes. So, got a half hour. That's going to be annoying. I wonder if you could just pass in the sizes. We just say This might be a little bit better and a little clever. X at XL. Turning less into JavaScript. At L, at M, at S, and at XS. So those are all of our sizes, so we could just plug those in. So then we can keep that. That's a little wonky, but I'll allow it. Boom, boom, boom. Take that off. Take this off. And at L, at M, at S. What happened? I skipped one. That's annoying. Boom. Oh, I lost all the sizes. Lovely. Let's kill this because this is like really driving my. So we just pass those in. So we can just say heading styles, and we can do the defaults. So 60, 44. 44, 36, 28, 24, right, 28, 20, 20, 16. And I think we can do, I wonder if we just do, I don't know how to do concat strings. Or does it just figure it out? You know what? We're not gonna be too clever. Let's just explicitly call this out. Then there's no confusion. I much prefer pixels over rems. We started early on to use rems, and it was more convoluted than what it needed to be. So that's kind of cool. And then we can do, this is much better. So that would actually be for portrait up. So run that for portrait up. Ooh, this is really cool actually, because what we can do, well, it's annoying. You're basically, you can compare the two. It's really like you can just kind of visually see. That makes it much more readable. That's nice. So we can just say 44, 36. Oh, I'm so happy with this. 24, 16, 16. So it's like 16. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, that's so much better. I love that. Okay. I'm much more happy now. I'm much less annoyed. So let's copy this and drop that in. Okay. So XXL. Oh, no. This is all the defaults are XL. Plop. And we can get rid of this. We're never calling that again. So this is XL. Boom. This is at L. This is at M. This is at S. This is at, oh, this, I feel like my brain is melting less because of this, which is good. Oh, that's so much better. Okay, heading defaults. Oh, I like that so much better. Except I just lost all my sizes again. Yay! So we can just say heading defaults. Boom, boom. And again, we can kind of visually see what that's supposed to be. Oh, well, we have them here. Oh, we don't. Shit. So what do we start at? Let's go look at the Excel. We start at 3628. Easy peasy. 36, 28, 24, 20, 16, 16, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why am I having one extra? 36, 28, 24, 20. 36, 28, 24, 20. What am I missing? Oh. No, they're supposed to be... Oh, because that's not... It's supposed to start at 28. No. Boom. And actually, we don't need those. So we should only supply 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get rid of that. Oh, but we are going to need a double XL because we have to support it for... No, that's right. Those are all the same. It's just whether or not they're big or not. Blop. So then we can say 36, 28. Okay. We can just shift it 36, 28, and 16. I think that's right. So 36, 28. Yep, they're all boop, 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 boop. And the weird thing is, oh, we supply it small as the same size. Okay. Boom, PX. Boom, PX. That's cool. Big fan. Big, big, big fan. So we can take this, and we're actually going to drop it in for margin 2. So we have this idea where you can opt into larger margins. So we can do, I think heading styles needs to be changed, but we can do this. Boom. And so we just say margin multiplier 2. Boom. And boom. That makes it much clearer. And we got to do heading styles. I think heading styles works. My stomach is making funny noises. And boom. Does it build? Yay! Let's see if it looks right. That's really the question. Cool. That is much better. And then it should shrink down it. Yep. So this should be 28. Sweet. Okay. Let's do some easy stuff. So this is 28 over, let's go see. 28 over Oh, what was that supposed to be? Oh, because of the pixels. That's right. That's annoying. I have Adobe Experience Manager crawling up me. Okay. So that's 36. So let's see if I think we should be able to. Don't care. That's all 125. Cool. It's the same. Excuse me. Letter spacing. Nope. Cool. I think headings are done. But we're going to have to do Han. I'm no longer annoyed by this. This is actually better than I expected. A little redundancy in typing these things out, but I think it's okay. So we need to do something similar for body. The good news is, so body styles. So we will do at XXXL, at XXL. Somebody's at XL, at L, at S, at M. I should have just copied this from somewhere else. XS. So basically we set up defaults. So one thing we struggled with when we went to that when we started implementing Spectrum typography, the first go around, if you look at the really old stuff, they have, if we go computed and we just go look at, let's go inspect body and font size. So we had a mismatch of rems that caused a whole lot of havoc because we changed our body size, and so that really affected all the rems and ems that people were using across all of our different sites. So I think now we're fine. So we have line height body. So the question we have, so we have these defaults. So that's 16. So I wonder, why is this different? Why did I think this was different than Adobe.com? Go to computed. 16. Ah, there it is. 14 pixels. So at some point we went down to 14 pixels as our base body size, and that caused a whole lot of problems. So I think we might actually want to, well, we'll see. Why is this not added? Okay, so we have body styles. We mix in body. We mix in sizing. So that's just the default elements. So just all the defaults. So what we're going to do, we call all of these. And so what's nice is if you can actually make a heading element look like a body. So you can make heading elements, even if you want that, again, you want visual representation of something that's really weighted, but you don't want the SEO impact. You have those decoupled. But I don't like this because, so we need to know what body is supposed to map to. So let's go see. I think we just have, these are all kind of weird. So we have double XL. So we just, and we have body. Why is that on bottom? Okay, sure. So that's 28. So those two are the same. In fact, oh, you know what? These are all the same. So we don't even have to get too clever because these are all the same. That is awesome. Oh, that's so cool. So we don't have to change body copy. That's cool. And line height bumps up to 1.5, and I think I already have that covered. And margin is different. 0.5. I wonder if I accounted for that. I might not have accounted for that. Ooh, this is the only one that's 0.05. This is super funky. We have like you have rem over here, m over here, pix over here. Okay. That's not confusing at all. So we don't actually have to do this. We don't need this. And what's our line height body? Should just be 1.5. Which I think is right. Yeah, if this is 0.25, this is 0.5. This is 1. This does not make sense. Oh, no. Line height, that's right. Okay. The margin is super funky. I don't know what this is supposed to be. If it's 1, how is that so wildly different? Because on the XT doc, I don't think so. Heading's 1.25, and that's Han. Where's my body? 1.5. So it's 1.5 and 1.25. This is really confusing. And then margin, we just have margin 1 and margin 2. So there should just be line height minus font size. But line height in pixels. That's why we calculate the margin the way we do. Mix and sizing. So I think we're just going to leave it. Because we don't need to do anything crazy. I'm getting emails. Okay. I think we're fine. And we just mix in body. Oh, and body sizing. So these all need to be fixed because all it's doing is, I don't think it's actually doing, it's only mixing in the elements. It's not doing the sizes. So we need, oh shit, that sucks. Oh, those are all text elements? Okay, so it's heading, okay. I think we're okay. Let's go find out. We gotta go see if it works. Let's refresh our. Okay, so those all look fancy. There's the default. There's triple XL. Let's go see. Let's do some spot checks. 28 over 14. Over, that's the line height, so 42. So let's go see. See, that's what's the challenge is this is represented in pixels. Doesn't have a multiplier. So that's fine. 28 over 42. So these should all be fine. 22 over 11. Yeah, those are all fine. And then we have the margin bottom. Yep. And they're all 1.5, which is fine, which is what they're supposed to be. don't understand why this is conveyed differently. Where this is 1. I don't understand. Maybe I don't need to. So, how do we do body defaults and body styles? Where's body styles? That's the margin multiplier. Ooh, so we have to do... I guess that just means... Oh, because the tech... I see. I need to make a note if I'm confused by this. Set up heading overrides. So basically, okay, that's why. So we basically have to say if you use any of these, we really need you to, because what I didn't want to do is if we do mix and body up here, then every single element would get, we would be outputting all this like boilerplate crap. So you'd be repeating this stuff on every single element when in reality you don't want to do that. So you can see like H1 through H6 gets these like boilerplate things rather than writing H1 this. And yeah, gzip will kind of fix that, but it's better that we just do it cleanly. I think we're done with this. We just need to support this this idea of a detail, which is 1.5 ratio, which I think we have already. That's that detail. Let's go see what the Mm-hmm. 0.5. I don't know what the hell this is talking about. I think we're okay. We're going to have to do all this and add that. Hopefully we don't have to have that abstraction for Han. We don't have to change too much. Okay, so that's just half. So that's just, I believe we have, where's our margin? Yeah. So 1.25. This is really weird to try and convert this into web language. I think we're fine though. We just need to do this all. Let's do heading first, of course, because that's the way we have it organized. We already know that. And we will, oh, it's like, maybe we just say, let's do another abstraction here. So we'll just do detail sizes. And we pass in the margin multiplier. What the? Okay. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Margin multiplier. get jacked up? That was a weird. There we go. Yeah, I know you want an extra line, but we're taking you out anyways. Boom, boom, and 10 more minutes. Let's go detail sizes, and we run it with at margin multiplier 1. Boom. Maybe we should just call these all at the bottom and then leave this all. No, I kind of like how it's organized. Detail sizes, and then we can just say boom, and then at the end, detail, and margin multiplier 2. Boom. Headings. Oh, there should be, drop that bad boy. All right, cool. So the interesting thing is that, so this all looks really good, but guess what? Whoa, something's screwy here. A, we gotta delete this. Why? What the hell? Margin 2 is jacked. Oh, I think I know why. I think heading styles actually do have to come after body, because the bodies override. I think that there's some weird scoping thing. This is my life. Java yesterday in Maven, and then super deep, less stuff. Jack of all trades, master of zero. Okay, cool. So now we have these extra headings. So if we look here with margin 2, we should have, so margin bottom, it's now 18 pixels, because we're doing, according to this spec, margin 2 is basically line height minus font size times 2. So that's kind of, this is where you're adding in a lot of extra crap. So here we set it here for mobile / default, and then we override it here. And then we're saying, well, for margin 2, margin 2 H1. Why is that screwy? Oh, because okay. So this is the, this should actually be, this should be slightly different. I need to debug that. Oh, because that's coming from the, I know what that's coming from. That would be incorrect. And then we have 28, but then we want a different margin, so it's that. That's not super fun. But it is what it is. But now you can space things out a little bit better without going into our custom spacing. Again, this is all about reducing authoring burden, because, well, actually, let's talk about that. So one interesting thing is, like, if we go in here and we say, okay, flex container, we're going to throw in a flex container here, and we're going to throw in a CTA or a button. So why does that button look like shit? Well, that's not good. Something's wrong. We will link to nothing. And we will say we want to ACTA. And hit OK. Why does that look checked? Why does that look checked? Probably because we're pulling in the button, right? Typography. Something's weird here. We must be missing something. We'll find out why. Not good. Because it has span on it. So we're probably doing something really gross. Damn. So we're going to have to figure out what maybe we should pull out span and not allow it. Let's do that. Let's not be so eager. If we get yelled at, we'll find out. Why do we have a span in there? It must be required for some reason. Okay, so we have a cool looking button. Let's just add some space above so we can kind of see what's going on here. So spacing, I'll just say 100 so we can really differentiate. And the other thing we want to do is we want to center the content. So basically we will say item and we want to center. Now if we take one of these, you're like, oh, I want some text next to a button. That's super common. If we go look at this page down here, oh, I used to have text right here. But it's super common to have text next to a button. And so if we look, if we try and throw in some text here, text, and let's just, let's say start. We'll do start and we'll add gap. So 24 pix gap, and we want start, boom. Cool. And then we just say, hello, world. This is my awesome thing. Now, if we look at this, you notice something? The text is not vertically centered, but it should be. That's because we're obviously calculating, it based with that margin up top, which totally sucks. You don't want these offset things because you could imagine a world where maybe you throw in an image. We're going to go over. We might go over. So if we do that, oh, why did that go so big? That's weird. Oh, because it's just pushing out of bounds. That's right. So we can say, let's just do this. Say auto, and then we'll just say we want a width of like, I don't know, we'll just do one column. Boom. We probably want to make that a little bigger. One of these days I'll get it. So item number 3, we want it to be maybe 3 columns. Make it a little. So what sucks is that, in these cases, this text is just up a little bit. And if you're trying to vertically center text, again, back to that Photoshop example, you got to have your text centered, right? So what's interesting is like we might do pairings where you got to have this and this. So there's got to be margin on that one, but not margin on this one. What do? Enter the style system, of course. I saw that Cedric liked my my tweet, so hopefully he's watching because his team is the one who built this. So we can go into here, and we've got this new cool thing. And so we have all the headings, we have the bodies. Now we're going to add a new section called margin. And what we can say is no margin. I believe we can just say no margin. Let's go find our little API. So let's just go find it in folder. .no margin. We don't want it in the minified files. Where is this being located? Okay, publish. So it tells us that we can do all these. So we have no margin. And so we can just say no margin. Now, when we go over to initial, we can. So the majority of our content, yeah, we totally don't want to have to burden authors with adding all this extra space between here. So that's why we went through that trouble of doing all that margin. But the problem is there are some scenarios where you want that text to be vertically centered. And so what we should be able to do is scroll to the bottom and say, plop, no margin, boom, that pulls off. And with any luck, hey, our text is now vertically centered. So we're out of time. But that's the start of our new typography stack that will standardize all of our different clouds. So our sites look similar. Let me see if I can shut down my live stream. Why does it do this? How do I stop this damn thing?